Hey everyone, I've got something different for you today. We've got just a quick review of some Sony DSLR cameras that I've been using for the last few years. Photography has been a bit of a hobby for me, and I've taken a bit more of an interest the last couple of years. With a young child, it's nice to have some good equipment to take better pictures and more reliable pictures in different lighting conditions and at different focal lengths. So being able to get better shots has been a big motivator for me looking at some of these different cameras. So this camera on the left is the Sony A390. The first one we'll look at right here. It's the older one of the three, the oldest. All of these cameras are entry-level cameras, entry-level to mid-range. So they're not really super fancy or anything like that, but they're a bit better than just any kind of point and shoot or even a basic DSLR, though most of these are fairly basic. And so what we're going to look at is some of the features that they've got, some of the features that the newer ones have that this older one does not, and just some tips on what to do or what to look for if you've got a camera like this, or if you're looking at one of these. So the big reason I bought one of these Sony DSLRs is because my dad gave me his old Minolta Maximum 7000, and my aunt gave me this lens right here, which is a 400 millimeter, 100 to 400 millimeter zoom lens. Those are A-mount Minolta style lenses, so any lens made by Minolta from 1985 to the 2000s, 2010 maybe, will fit on all of these Sony Alpha cameras. Not the newer Sony Alpha cameras, so all the 4-digit models, 5000, 6000, 6400, the next cameras, those are not compatible. Those have E-mount lenses, but these are A-mount lenses. In case you want a close-up of that, that's what Sony's version of the A-mount looks like. Some of these are plastic, some of these are metal. Here's the Minolta A-mount. This is obviously a metal one. It does feel more solid, though I haven't had any problems at all with the plastic lenses made by Sony. They seem just fine and are lighter, of course, so they're a little bit nicer to carry around. So let's start with the A390. Again, I've had this camera for maybe 7 or 8 years. I bought it because I had lenses that fit the Alpha mount system. So this 70 to 210 lens by Minolta is an example of that. It's a nice lens, probably one of the nicer ones that people recommend when you're looking at these A-mount or Minolta lenses. And so this A390 is from 2010, and it's a 14 megapixel camera. The ISO ranges from 100 to 3200, and it's got built-in steady shot. Obviously can take raw pictures. The screen is a tilting screen, so that's one of the reasons why I like this camera a lot. So the screen will tilt out like that when you want to take pictures from down below, or so the screen tilts down like this when you want to take pictures, and with the camera down below you like that. It's pretty nice. Maybe some of the newer or different models where the screen tips out and then swivels like that, or the opposite way, have their own benefit. But I like this style of tilt screen. The A35 does not have that kind of screen. The screen is solid against the body, and then the A58 has almost the identical swivel screen that the A390 does. So I like this style of swivel screen a lot, tilt screen a lot. So the A390 over here is a 14 megapixel camera. The A35 is a 16 megapixel camera, and the A58 is a 20 megapixel camera. And so you can really tell the difference when you start zooming in on pictures, that more megapixels gives you more pixels and gives you a sharper image. That was one of the reasons when I had this camera and was using it, I started looking at other cameras because I wanted something with a little bit more definition. And so The newer cameras I looked at were both of these, and some of the others. I had the Alpha A mount lenses, and so I kind of wanted to stick with that family. And I'm on a budget, so I wanted to stick with something affordable, not a brand new camera or camera system. The A390 does not have any video mode. There's no record button or anything like that, so it does not take videos at all. Its ISO ranges from 100 to 3200, and so that's pretty good, but not great compared to newer cameras. Let's see here, ISO 100 down to 3200, and that was part of my problem. Was I wanted to take pictures in darker settings without having to resort to a flash. So that was another reason getting a newer camera with a higher sensitivity was one of my goals, to be able to take more pictures without having to have a flash. So the A35 has a bit more range in its sensitivity. The ISO goes from 100 to 12,800. Let's see, 12,800, yeah. And so it can take a little bit better photos in a darker setting than the A390 can. So that was one of the reasons I started looking at these other cameras. The A58 has an ISO range of 100 to 16,000, but it's expandable beyond that. So ISO button is up here at the top. Buttons move around depending on the model. And so it goes up to 16,000, but then it's expandable to 25,600. That's only in very special conditions, and those high noise ISO ranges, you're just going to get a lot of noise, so it's really hard to make a case for using ISOs that high. One of the other things that all three of these Sonys have is a steady shot. So it's an image stabilization system that is inside the camera. So some cameras, some systems have the image stabilization inside the lens. But for Sony, they've been doing the image stabilization inside the body, so they can make lenses a little bit cheaper. And the image stabilization is built into the sensor mechanism. So the sensor inside the camera will actually kind of move around depending on the movement of the camera. It'll adjust, make those minute adjustments as you're taking a shot to help basically steady the sensor as you're taking a photo. And so that'll result in sharper images, images with less blur. So on all these cameras, you can turn that off, and in some specific situations, here's the A390, steady shot, off, on. So on the A35, we got steady shot again, right here on the first page of the menu. Really easy to turn that one off and on. And as I'm going through these, you can kind of see that a lot of the parts of these cameras are pretty similar, but then some parts are more unique. And so you might have to go to a different menu page to find a certain feature if you don't see it right away. Steady shot is on the third page here, so again, just turn it off and on like that, really easy. I usually keep it on just because it makes my shots sharper all the time. So another big feature that I was looking at when I had this camera and wanted something a little bit better was a camera with a system to focus on a person's face. And so a lot of new cameras, a lot of phones have that feature built in. I didn't have the money to go and spend money on a brand new Sony A7 or anything like that. Those have eye focus features, but these newer Sony, so this one's from 2010, 2011, 2013. These newer ones have a feature called face detection focus. And so I'll show you how to find that and turn that on here real quick. A lot of these features you can find just by pressing the function button right there and scrolling up and down. Change your drive mode, change your flash mode, your autofocus mode, your autofocus area, and then there's your face detection. So you can turn that off, and then it will just focus on your focus point, wherever your center focus points are. Or you can turn that on, and then it will look through your focus area and try to find a face in that area to focus on. And so let's see if I can give you an example. So here in the house we have Dave Ramsey from Financial Peace University. We'll see if we can zoom in here enough to get a face detection. There you go. So you see that white gray box floating around his face? That's telling me that the camera recognizes that face, and when I hit the button, the shutter button, halfway down to start focusing, it will automatically try to focus on that face. So it picks out that face and it turns green, and that means it is focused on that point on the screen. I'm actually really happy that this is working so well. I was kind of worried with the face and the book being so far away that the camera would have a hard time locking onto those. We'll just check here a smile face detection. So this is the newer A58, and it has even one more feature than the A35. So it has face detection off, face detection on, and you can register faces. So you can take a picture of a family member or what have you, and it will prioritize those faces when it sees multiple faces in the image, in the screen. And then it has face detection on, which is just standard face detection. And then it has on slight smile. So smile shutter means you can actually change that from slight smile to normal smile to big smile, where you point at a face. Let's see, I don't think it'll work here. We'll find out. You point at a face, and if they're smiling, it will automatically click and take a picture, even though you don't press down on the shutter. So if you're pointing a camera at someone, you see it's focusing on the face right there. It's kind of got the automatic face detect focus happening. On the left-hand side, you see the smiley indicator, telling you how much they're smiling. Let's change that back from big smile to normal smile or slight smile, and we will see if, does I get high enough? Not quite. So it sees maybe he's smiling, but it's not going to take a picture. But if you have a person and they go from a non-smiling face to a smiling face, there we go. I did not touch the shutter button. Let's try another one. So finger off, steady. There we go. So it automatically takes a photo when it detects a smile. So that's a good way to catch a smile when you've got somebody who doesn't smile the whole time, or a kid. It's a crazy feature. Sometimes it doesn't work that great. It takes a photo too early or too late, and you know, that's fine. But sometimes it does work really well. I thought that was just a really cool feature. I'm not sure if other cameras have that or not. As far as feel and appearance goes, these three camera bodies are all pretty similar. The 390 is actually heavier than the newer ones, but overall the camera body is pretty sleek. The plastic looks really nice in my opinion. It's got kind of a textured look all over it. It's got some rubber right where you would want it, here on the grip and on the back. A little bit of rubber right there. The plastic looks good, but maybe a little bit plain on all three of these cameras. And so here's the A35. It does feel lighter in the hand, even with the lenses. If the lenses were the same, this does feel like a lighter body. I'm not a big fan of how the viewfinder here protrudes from behind the body, but it is what it is. The A35, the A33 was actually the first single lens translucent camera body that Sony made. So they're able to make the body just a little bit more compact, but I think that added the viewfinder up top. So again, the rubber right here, the rubber around here, the on-off switch around the shutter button. I'm pretty happy with that positioning. Some of these others, D-range is a specific one on this model for the light settings. And then the ISO buttons right here, the function button is in the same place on all three of these cameras in a good spot. The movie button is on the same spot on both the A58 and the A35. Both the newer ones have a Finder LCD button to switch between the viewfinder and the LCD screen. The A390 had a switch right there to switch between those two. Yeah, and it has nice covers for all of the ports. It's not weatherproof like some bigger, nicer cameras. But yeah, overall, I feel like these camera bodies feel pretty nice. Maybe not amazing, maybe not professional level quite, but pretty nice. And so the A58 has a smoother texture, smoother plastic, still a very similar body style from the other cameras. Battery port on the bottom side there, and same rubber spot, same switch around the shutter button, and same overall layout here, except for the ISO button up here on top, and a couple of the other menu buttons up here have just kind of moved around just a little bit from one model to the next. One important difference between these three is the flash mount. So for a while after Sony bought Minolta and started using their technology to make cameras, they had their own proprietary flash mount system, which is fine, I guess, if you have that kind of flash, but I don't. And then they switched to a newer flash mount system, which is the standard flash mount system. I can't remember right off what that's called, but they kind of switched back to what everybody else was doing, which seemed like a good idea. Both of these cameras take video in HD. So those were kind of the main things I wanted to show you guys. This A58 is the camera that I use now more than anything. I've played with the film camera just a little bit, and these I'll let people borrow when someone wants to borrow a camera from me and they don't have anything themselves. So I've been using the A58 more than the others because it's newer, has better features, and especially those 20 megapixels lets me take pictures and then crop in on those pictures whenever I need to or whenever I want to, and still maintain the definition on a photo that I want. And so I've been enjoying this camera. I don't use these really that much anymore, except for fun and for making a review like this. I hope you enjoyed this review, this comparison of these three cameras. If you're on a budget like me, if you have some A-mount lenses, or if you have another Sony, this may help you look around at the different options and features that these cameras have, and see if one of them, there are a lot of used examples of these cameras on eBay, if something like that is something for you, something that you can make use of, something that you can enjoy without spending hundreds or thousands of dollars on some brand new equipment. Thanks a lot. Bye.